Hey y'all, this is Stephen James, and you're listening to the Garrett Smith Show. What's up, y'all? This is Stephen James.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen James. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Man, staying alive, as you were saying earlier. We were talking off. We were talking off air about how somebody needs to do like a emotional cover of the Bee Gees, and it would probably actually top the charts right now.
I think Rich O'Toole could nail that pretty solid.
All right, we made it 30 seconds in before a Rich O'Toole or Stephen James name drops. So that I guess I'm gonna need a Rich O'Toole soundbite at some point.
Nice. Yeah, marijuana and jalapeno, baby.
Speaking of things that are hilarious, I watched your live stream yesterday or day before, and it was the one where you were in the pool with the guitar, and
yeah,
I saw somebody on there was like, "You're dipping in the water." I was like, "I think he knows."
It was just the wood, no electronics, so I think we're good.
Yep.
We'll find out next time I have a gig and I plug it in. We'll see what happens. It might be like Marty McFly in Back to the Future, like blown up.
Was that your backup Takamine guitar, or was that like your main rig?
Yeah, no, that's my backup guitar, but actually I've been using that a lot more lately because I've been doing like a loop pedal so I can play lead over myself, and I can wail on that Takamine, man. It's like the action on it's pretty good. Fun
fact for the listeners, the first show I ever played was on that guitar because mine had technical difficulties.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Good old shout out Phoenix Saloon, New Braunfels.
New Braunfels, Texas.
New Braunfels. I ask everyone their favorite area to play and stuff like that, and pretty much everyone says the New Braunfels area. And I was like, I've played there once, and that's about it. It really is. Like, I loved the crowd that night.
Everybody's just there to have a good time because they're from out of town. They've been like floating the river and drinking all day, so it's like anything goes.
Yeah, so you are one of the only people I've seen who's actually been able to bust out a new song in the middle of being quarantined. So tell me about that, because everyone I ask about new projects, we're all kind of in this, well, we'll see kind of boat, but you're out there doing it.
Yeah, that was crazy. Actually, I got Logic for my Mac. I've been in studios for 15 years and other people have been at the controls. So I was like, I made enough albums. I got the ears now, so I can do it. So I just bought Logic. I don't know, it's like $200 or something. And just kind of recorded my own song over the holidays. And then I just listened to it about 60 times for about a month until I got it perfect, and then uploaded it. And as you know, it takes about 3 or 4 weeks stuff to get on like Spotify and all that. So it just worked out. Like the date that Friday I picked was like the date the world like imploded and like coronavirus so I was just like, okay, here we go. I mean, it didn't get on the radio. I didn't do a video. I didn't do anything, but I actually think it's probably my best song I've ever written. So what
you're saying is you started all this.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. The song blew up the world, I guess.
Release the song.
Yeah, it was a great song. I'm really proud of it. And, now I don't have any gigs to play, so I can't really play it, but I hope people stream it.
Well, it
Heartbreak on the Jukebox.
It'll be like you're releasing it twice. You'll get out there and be like, brand new song. And then it's just kind of like, okay, we'll have another bump in the wave, like.
Yeah.
I really dig the song. So fun fact, self-plug here. I got to hear it about 2 weeks before it came out. And I was like, man, this is awesome. It kind of has like a Sweet Child of Mine vibe with the guitar. And
yeah.
I did a show in Port A. This was a couple days after everything hit the fan, but they hadn't closed everything down yet. And so I think we were probably the last show. In fact, the big Cody Johnson show in Corpus got canceled the same night we played Port A. And so a lot of them came in. We were nervous. So I was kind of like, well, I guess we'll get to do this show tonight. And so I had Wayne and Tristan from your band in Corpus down there, and then a guy named Zoe on the bass. And at the last minute, when you travel to rehearse with a band, and you're kind of like, man, are we gonna have time to run through everything? There's all that anxiety, and Tristan's like, I guess we could throw a Jaded song in there. And so I was like, yeah, if it comes to that, we can do that. I don't want to piggyback off y'all, but I went down there and just to kind of screw with them, I was like, all right, guys, Heartbreak on the Jukebox, y'all got it down yet?
They're like,
No, but we all dig the song. It's really cool. So anyone that hasn't heard it, go check out Heartbreak on the Jukebox. Spotify, is it under your regular artist profile? I know at one point it was kind of.
Yeah, so it was the first song I uploaded just as Stephen James, not Stephen James and the Jaded, because I played everything on it. So I was like, kind of like there's Ryan Adams and there's Ryan Adams and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So, but it turns out there's about like 36 Stephen Jameses on Spotify. So some dude woke up on that Friday and he had a brand new song on his account. So it took about 2 weeks for them to get it right. But now I've got my own little Stephen James account. I think I have like 5 followers now. So, we're growing.
I think I've only seen one other Garrett Smith out there, and he put like an acoustic song that he wrote himself on YouTube. And I was like, what the heck? Then I was like, well, I'll go be one of them. I listened to it. I was like, hey, not bad. Garrett Smith, if you're out there, nice song.
Yeah.
Not bad. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy how you can just do that now. Like there's once upon a time you could never just release a song from home unless you put a tape recorder and you had like a staticky sounding meant to sound that way.
No, man. I mean, with my Mac and Logic and, a Stratocaster and a bass, I can make a whole album just at home now. That song cost me $10 to make, and it's like, it sounds as good as anything I've ever done, possibly better,
Every artist listening just goes, I'm living my life all wrong.
Yeah. The only expense was, uploading it to Spotify and iTunes, and that's $10 on TuneCore. Otherwise, I did everything myself. So
that's awesome.
Designed the cover, recorded it,
As long as nobody comes up to you and says, yeah, it sounds about like $10. It's like, what the heck, man?
Yeah, you got what you paid for.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to kick this thing off for everyone. I'm actually going to play that song here. This is Heartbreak on the Jukebox.
Let's go. Yeah.
Out a month ago, you didn't think that it would ever show how you miss her so, and you need her now. And then someone puts it on. It used to be your favorite song. It's just a heartbreak coming on the jukebox. Make you think everything that you lost. Is she singing to you? Is she trying to get through? Remembering things that you used to do. It's a heartbreak coming on the jukebox, playing for you. Now you find yourself alone when all you wanna do is crawl back home. All you think about is reaching out. Yeah, you wanna call. She ain't there to answer the phone. Going out all night on her own. It brings you down and it makes you fall. And then someone puts it on. It used to be your favorite song. It's just a heartbreak coming on the jukebox. Make you think everything that you lost. Is she singing to you? Is she trying to get through? Remember things that you it's a heartbreak coming on the jukebox. It's playing for you. Heartbreak coming on the jukebox. Make you think everything that you've lost. Is she singing to you? Is she trying to get through? Remember the things that you used to do.
sounded awesome. It sounded like more than $10.
Hey, sounded like $100.
There you go. So, do you play bass guitar at all? Like, I've never actually seen you play bass.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have a bass. I've slowly just assembled everything I've needed over the years to where it was just kind of, I've always had a plan B, plan C, plan D. That's just how it always works. So I was like, if the dookie ever hits the fan, I just want to have everything so I can just record at my house. Well, it hit the fan and now I'm stuck at home. So, it worked out. So I have a whole studio now just in my house. I can make whatever,
I wouldn't call this a silver lining, but I'd call it it's a 50-50. It's part pro, part con. Like, it hit the fan for everyone. It's not like you're trying to keep up with everybody and it hits the fan for you and suddenly everyone leaves you behind. It's like it sucks for everyone right now.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's like, there's preppers and they get like guns and ammo and like canned goods. I'm like a prepper, like musically. I'm just like collect instruments. I'm like, I've been prepping for Doomsday for like 10 years and now here it is.
Well, I tweeted, I told a previous guest this. I tweeted to Guns N' Roses a couple days ago. I said, all right, y'all been sitting on that locker for 12 years, man. Just put something out. You will have an audience.
Yeah, gosh. I mean, a lot of artists have been, delaying their releases and stuff. And I think like people are actually starving for new music. So I say, get it out there. I mean, the Weeknd dropped his album like a week or two ago and it went to #1 and like his record company is telling him to hold it and everything. But I think people need new music now more than ever because we're all just stuck here like starving for anything new,
Absolutely. Well, speaking of starving, let's jump to the very beginning before these smash hits like Heartbreak on the Jukebox came out. Tell me kind of like your story as a musician. Like, where did it all start for you and your whole journey?
Sure. So I grew up in a pretty musical family on both sides. On my dad's side, he's got a bunch of brothers, and they were all in bands. And actually, my uncle was a drummer for Oz Kanaz in Houston, which is a band that played with 13th Floor Elevators a lot in that whole Houston 60s scene. My dad was in a bunch of bands in East Texas. My mom's a singer, plays piano. And so I grew up just around that, like at the holidays, everybody had an instrument and was just jamming. And so it was just normal to me. It was never anything like weird or like scary. Like, you just grab an instrument and jump in. So that was kind of my foundation. And then, growing up, my dad listened to like Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. And my mom was more like on the pop side, like Beatles and Billy Joel and Elton John. So that's kind of why my music's always had those real, I think, like big melodies, things that kind of, everybody always says is catchy. I've heard that my whole life. Like, you're so catchy. Like, I think that comes from the Beatles and, Billy Joel. But then also, of course, I love to rock. And that's, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones. And so, so I started playing guitar. I got my first guitar 6th grade. Got a little Fender Squire Stratocaster and just started playing wherever I could. Like, my relative would have a garage sale and I'd be like, can I play your garage sale? Like, I would just, anywhere I could like play a gig. It was like, I think I did a battle of the bands at my Boy Scouts in like 7th grade. Nice. So it was just like, I'd sing, as they say, I'd sing at the opening of an envelope, like anything, it's like, so, and then I always had bands. I always just grabbed kids in school around me and, okay, you're going to play drums and you're going to play bass and I'm going to write the songs, and did that all through high school. And a couple friends of mine, we had a band, went through a bunch of names, 2-guy trio, Good Luck Academy, all sorts of names. We all went to Austin. We all went to school together out there, UT and St. Ed's, and played up and down 6th Street.
St. Ed's, just for anyone wondering, is the better of the two. We just need to clarify that.
Actually, I was going to go to UT my whole life. And then I got in and I went there and I visited St. Ed's and I was like, I'm going to flunk out if I go to UT. There's like 500 kids in the class. The professor doesn't know who I am. St. Ed's, there's like 20 people in the class. If you miss, your professor is like emailing you, like, where were you yesterday? So thank God I went to St. Ed's.
Crammed on 40 acres or the top of the hill. You take your pick.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I played all up and down Austin. And then I've lived all over Texas. I lived in East Texas, like Nacogdoches, Lufkin. I lived in Houston. I've lived in Corpus most recently. I played all up and down South Texas. So I've been all over, and like I was saying, I was a rock guy most of my life. I mean, I grew up in the 90s, so I listened to Nirvana and Sons of Pilots and Soundgarden and Smash Pumpkins and, all those good bands. And the most country I heard was like my dad playing like Willie Nelson or like some Rolling Stones stuff, where they get kind of country, like Sweet Virginia or something. So I don't really think about country much, and then I heard in high school, I heard Wilco Being There. And then I got into, some Ryan Adams, like Heartbreaker, and that just blew my mind. That was like nothing like Nirvana or like, Smashing Pumpkins. It had acoustic guitars and they're singing just about, being broke and in crappy apartments and having their heart broken and stuff. And I was just like, whoa, so that kind of set me on a country rock kind of path, and I've been chasing that ever since. And I was in a lot of bands like pop rock and emo and all that stuff in high school and college. But really, once I started embracing that more country kind of side, I mean, that's when I really saw just a reaction from the crowd, especially in Texas. I mean, things just kind of took off. The radio started playing my songs, and more people started coming to shows and buying me more drinks, and I could tell like I was onto something. And I've been chasing that ever since the past, 6 or 7 years.
That's awesome. On episode 4, we had AJ Gell on here, and he mentioned how on the live stream the other day, he had said he wanted to start like an early 2000s rock cover band with us. And he was like, he goes, yeah, man, he said, Steven's music is like 2001 rock with a Texas twang on top of it, and it works.
Oh yeah, man. No, that was like my era. I was jamming like the Strokes. They're like one of my favorite bands, Phoenix, all that. So I was all into that early 2000s stuff. And then I had like pop rock bands, but like I always had like one country song on the record, it'd always kind of be like a departure. And then, so I just decided, well, what if I just made a whole record of those kind of songs? And that's kind of how Stephen James and the Jaded came around. And now I'm, 3 or 4 albums deep. So I'm stuck with it for now, but I love it. I mean, it comes naturally. I'm not like forcing anything.
That's awesome. So you went to Austin, and actually, before you went to Austin, I've got to make a note of this. So you went to Stratford High. Mm-hmm. And if anyone out there ever looks at the list of people who have made a name for themselves that went there, it's kind of crazy. Like sports, you had like Andrew Luck went there. You had David and Jimmy Klingler, Craig James, Dave Crow, Chance Sanford. On the entertainment side, you had like Bill Hicks, the comedian, and you and Rich O'Toole and Evan Gamble all went there. And if I'm not mistaken, that was at the same time, right?
Yeah, so Evan and I were in a bunch of bands together. We went to school in Austin together, and Rich was a grade below us, and our buddy Chris Monty, Matt Smith. I mean, they all had bands, and Evan went out to LA, and he's just totally been kicking ass out there. He was in American Sniper. I mean, Vampire Diaries, just on and on and on. So we still, kind of collaborate a little bit musically, but the acting's definitely taken off. And then Rich and I were always friends. He was a grade underneath me, so I always kind of knew him as like that tall, funny kid who's like a little bit younger than me. And I kind of knew about his music, but I was in Austin and he was in College Station, which, as you know, are just like two totally different universes.
Just a little.
Yeah. When you're immersed in it and you're in college. So I kind of, I heard about him and I knew he was doing good. And I kind of knew about him. And then he came down to Corpus and I opened up for him. We just connected. He was like, I'm playing Corpus. You should play, come on. And I was like, man, yeah, it'd be awesome. Haven't seen you in, 10 years. And we just totally hit it off again, picked up right where we left off. And that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And
that's awesome.
After that, like he took me on tour. I went on his bus and I played guitar with him for a while. And I opened up for him a million times. And he opened a lot of doors for me. He kind of gave me some shortcuts because he already, as you know, I mean, he has a great career and knows all the DJs. And he was blowing up in Texas when I was still playing like emo and stuff,
Yeah, he's somebody I should probably reach out and get on here at some point.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. So the night I met you was the same night I met Evan and Rich, and it was kind of funny because I was telling Jared this on his episode that I had been working as a recruiter for tech, and I'd be sitting there in high school cafeterias just kind of like, man, we're in between periods and nobody's coming by the table. I just felt fidgety. I had to do something about my music. So I had this like fake Twitter account about Red Dirt fans, and I would tweet out like every artist I could find, just put their songs out there. And I guess what happened was I didn't even know who you were yet, but I had yours and my music in the same tweet, and I threw it out. And after that, we followed each other, and then I guess you were going to play Firehouse Saloon. And I was like, I tweeted something like, yeah, I'm going to go to the show. And you were like, yeah, I need to come catch one of yours too. And I'm like, dude, I haven't even played a living room yet. I was like, I ain't telling him that. But no, I show up, and then before you even got there, Evan's up on stage. I didn't know who he was at this point. And Rich kind of walked through the green room door. I don't know if you can call it green. At Firehouse Saloon, it's like this concrete room with the draft
like brown door, brown room.
The brown room. But yeah, Rich walks out, and I kind of did a double take because I was literally the only human being there so far. And I was like, Rich O'Toole? He's like, yeah, what's up? So, I mean, we got a beer, hung out. But yeah, you came about 10 minutes later. We all started hanging out, and the rest was history. But the part I don't know if I've ever told you was I start following Evan on Instagram and all that. And I'm like, oh, okay, this dude's he's a pretty good entertainer. And I'm sitting there on my couch looking at Instagram, and Evan's picture comes up, and my wife looks at me. She's like, why are you following him? I was like, who, this guy? She's like, yeah. I was like, do you know who this is? She's like, that's Evan Gamble. I'm like, what the heck? So suddenly I'm like, wait, is this guy famous? And I was like, yeah, we were hanging out at Steven's show the other night, just having a few drinks. She's like, get out. Are you serious? She was watching Vampire Diaries.
Oh yeah. No, the ladies love Evan, man. It's like, you know, I get to just kind of hang in the background and be associated. It's great.
Yeah. So you go to Austin, and then how did you end up? So you've been all over the place since Austin. You kind of mentioned East Texas, and eventually you ended up in Corpus. So how did all that come about?
So I studied journalism in college and high school, or from high school and college newspapers, you know, music and art and whatever. And so I got a job out of college working for a newspaper in East Texas, in Lufkin, actually, where my mom had moved there. My grandparents retired there, so my mom moved there after she got divorced. Long story. And I actually met my future wife out there, Jessica Savage, and we were both reporters.
Shout out, Jessica.
Hey. Just working in East Texas, and that was such a great time. I mean, I don't if you've ever been in Nacogdoches or Lufkin, you know, they're like 20 miles apart. It's almost kind of the same town, even though, you know, they're a little different. But I mean, back then, that was like 10 years ago. Like, we could, you know, I could go on the roof of a building and drink, or, you know, play guitar or throw a concert. I mean, we just had the run of the town. Nobody cared. It was a tiny town. You could just do anything. So that, I can say I've lived in a small town. Definitely, you know, I've born and raised in Houston, but I've also lived, you know, 30,000 people. So I love small towns. And I was working there as a reporter, which is just crazy. You know, it's like car wrecks and meth heads and just all sorts of crazy stuff going on in small town. So long story short, we won some awards being reporters, and we were in Austin for an awards banquet, and there was an open bar, and we went to the bar, and there was all these loud people, and they were all from Corpus Christi from the newspaper, and they're like, hey, come on and have a drink. So we're like, hey, these are our kind of people. And so that led to, you know, they're offering us some jobs to come down to Corpus. And I've been there as a kid, you know, visiting the Lexington and stuff with Boy Scouts and going on the beach and stuff. And so I was familiar with Corpus, but hadn't really spent more than a weekend there. But we went down there, took some jobs, and we were working, and I put a band together down there, the Shakedown, and we were doing really well. And it started to get to the point where we're on the radio and touring, and, you know, as bands kind of grow. And then one of my guys had a kid, and he didn't want to go on the road anymore. I mean, right as we were kind of blowing up. And so it just kind of dissolved. And then it got to the point where, like, who keeps the name? Who's the Shakedown? Are you the Shakedown? Am I the Shakedown? And that's when I was like, all right, I'm just doing Stephen James, because nobody, you know, there's no argument over who's got that name. Like, I'm Stephen James, you know, I'll get a band. And so that was the genesis of Stephen James and the Jaded. I was in Corpus. My band broke up, started a new band. I was like, I'm just going to be me and stick with that. And because, you know, I've probably been in 4 or 5 bands where you get on the radio and you make a record and you break up, and it's like, all right, who's got the record? Who's got the name? What do we, you know? So I was like, no more of that crap. You know, I'm me. I can't break up with myself, hopefully. So
Stephen and James.
Yeah.
So your friend wasn't Tyler Bryant, was it?
No, that was also another thing. We were actually starting to kind of blow up, and there was, again, a million Shakedowns, and then Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown was out there, and he's Joe Perry's son, so I was like, I can't compete with that. Like, he's got, you know, he's connected from birth, so
yeah.
It's like, all right, time to pivot and try something else, you know?
Yeah, it's always my fear. Like, some Garrett Smith is going to be at the CMAs next year or something. I'm going, well, changing my name to Garth, because no one else has that one.
Garth Smith. I like it.
So then the Jaded ended up coming about, and I think right about the time the whole acquainted via Twitter thing happened was not too long after Weak in the Knees came out, I don't think. What year did you put that out?
Yeah, so that was crazy. So I just recorded a couple songs I had that were kind of going to be on my next record, and the band broke up, so I was like, all right, this is Stephen James songs. And I started putting together a record. I went to my old producer, Lars, in Austin, who I did some records with in college. And he's a Swede, and he did all the Cardigans records and stuff. So he and I had a lot of history. And I just went and played everything. He had a great drummer, Daniel Jones. He's an awesome drummer in Austin. And he's like, I got a drummer, and I played every other instrument. And funny fact, actually, if you go way back when I first started doing those records and stuff, I post all these pictures. But my buddy Lars, he's like equipment like junkie, like he collects all this stuff. So the microphone I sang in, sorry, there's some jets passing overhead. The microphone I sang on, like Robert Plant used, Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah, the guitars I were playing were like the same as the Beatles and the Rolling Stones used. Some of them were like actual ones they used. Like, it was just crazy. So it was like legit, like Rolling Stones and Zeppelin gear. I was just like blown away by that. But that was just a little aside. But yeah, so I put that music out, and as you do when you're starting out, I just emailed it to everybody I possibly could, every DJ, every blog, every band, just, hey, I'm on the scene, check this out. And Dave Smith actually wrote me back. Actually, a DJ wrote me back and said, this is good stuff. You should send this to Dave Smith. And I was green. I didn't know, anything. So Dave Smith, as you probably know, is the Texas Regional Radio Report, which is the Texas music chart, which is, the definitive chart.
Kind of a big deal.
He's the guy who runs it. He runs the TRR awards. He runs everything. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, Dave Smith, great. So I sent it to him, and he was like, this is great. And I just sent him the whole album. I was like, check this out. Of course, I had some songs in mind that I thought were the singles, and Dave's been doing it for 20, 30 years, and he picked Weak in the Knees, which I didn't even think that. I think that wasn't the single to me, but I was like, okay, yeah, sure, let's go. And he's, of course, he took me on, some money exchanged hands, and I became a client, and he started promoting me, and he got Weak in the Knees out there, and that, that went up to the top 40 like pretty quick, and I was just like, wow, I didn't even know anything about the charts, but it's just like, all right, cool, let's go. And the rest is history. We had 4 top 40s, I think 5 or 6 songs in the top 75, and it was just won an award. It was just like, let's go. Music video, single, boom, 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 record. We made albums back to back, and that was about 3 or 4 years. I didn't stop.
For any aspiring musicians out there who don't know anything about the charts, I would say it's okay. I've been in this about 5 or 6 years, and I still don't know how the charts work, so it's all good. Weak in the Knees, though, it's so simple, but super catchy. Like, it's perfect.
Thanks, man.
It's like
that was kind of a riff that my old band, we would kind of jam it, but we hadn't finished it, we hadn't named it. We just kind of had the "Everybody Loves My Baby." And that's actually what we called it. That was originally called "Everybody Loves My Baby," and it didn't really have a chorus. Making me weak in the knees. And so I kind of sat down. I was like, all right, I'm going to finish this song. I'm going to do it because I'm going to put it on the record. So, when you record something, you got to finish it because it's going on tape. So I wrote the chorus, wrote the name. And really, to me, it was a tribute to Tumble and Dice. The intro, the bum, 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 on the guitar, it's actually cut in half. The original intro was almost exactly like the riff on Tumble and Dice. Dun, 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 dun. And my producer was like, man, no, wait, that's Tumble and Dice. Like, come on, we got it. So he cut it in half. So that's why it just kind of starts real quick. It goes dun, 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 dun. So a little factoid for y'all, but I'm a huge Stones fan, and Tumble and Dice is probably one of my all-time favorite songs. So
originally, I was only going to keep this thing about 3 or 4 songs, but since we talked about it, I'm actually going to play that song here for everybody. So this is "Weak in the Knees."
Think you're gonna do, boy? Don't you know she belongs to me? She's the only girl who makes me weak in the knee. Don't you know how she longs for me? She's the only one who's been there for me. I said she's the only one. She's the only one. She's the only one. She's all I need. She's all I need.
Boom. Weak in the knees. So you've gone from Corpus to the East Coast, but I think everyone still calls you a Texas country artist here on this area of the world. And that's one cool thing I like about our scene. Like, you look at American Aquarium, dude lives in North Carolina and everyone still calls him a Texas artist. I mean, as long as you're you, everyone still keeps you in mind at home. That's one thing I really like about this. Were you nervous about that at all?
I was and I wasn't. You know, I'm born and raised in Texas. You know, I'm late 30s now, so I've spent about 3 decades in Texas. So it wasn't like, there wasn't a lot of stones left unturned. Like, I've played most clubs. I've opened up for most of the guys and gals. You know, I've been on the radio, I've been on the charts. So I was like, really kind of want to see what else was out there. But, you know, also, of course, Texas is ingrained in me. So I didn't think like my sound was really going to change much or anything, you know. So If anything, I was just kind of looking to just grow it and grow fans. And just for all y'all, my wife's from Savannah, so she had a great opportunity for work out here, and we got family out here. So we're like, all right, let's do it. Let's go to Savannah. And I've been coming out here for about a decade since I met her. I've been coming out the holidays and stuff. So I already have favorite bars out here, and, you know, I got some friends out here. So it was a pretty easy transition.
Beautiful scenery too. I mean, some of the pictures you post, you know, Hannah and I look at Instagram, we're like, man, that's a nice spot.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's a beautiful city. I mean, if anybody's ever seen Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil with Kevin Spacey and John Cusack, it's shot all downtown, and it's just a gorgeous city. I call it, it's like a classier New Orleans. You know, it's like if New Orleans and Austin had a kid, that'd be Savannah.
That sounds like a great place.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a college town. They got bars and great live music scene. And we have this Savannah stopover, which is all the bands who are headed to South by Southwest. They stop in Savannah and do shows for a week. So we kind of got like a little baby South by Southwest here. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I guess it's a little easier than comparing California and Corpus, but we won't go there. So one of the things I noticed, like right when you went out there, you got to go up and play Whiskey Jam in Nashville. Because one thing I've noticed, and the reason I noticed this is before you even went out there, I almost went out that direction because when I was looking to move out of Houston, we were looking at jobs in North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama. And
yeah, for sure. Me too.
A lot of my songwriting, a lot of the songs I haven't put out yet that I've got sitting on my computer are ones I wrote during that time period. So it took a lot of harder rock sound, and a lot of it's geared towards just Southern living. It's not even really Texas country. So I've sometime I'm going to have to formulate how I'm going to release that stuff. And now that I'm still in Texas, and thank God we found a great place in Temple, it's like, wow, you know, there's definitely a different influence that writing Southern music can have, and there's a good vicinity of states and venues. So how has that been for you?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It's kind of the same out here, but it's a little different. I mean, like 2 or 3 weeks after I moved out here, Co Wetzel came and played and did a big show. So the Texas country guys are still getting out here. But it's not, I wouldn't say they're as well known out here. It's more like the Nashville artists and kind of the national country guys. Those are the kind of the ones out here that everybody really listens to. And so whereas Texas country is more like regional specific, you know, we're singing about the cities and the food and, you know, the influences and, you know, Gary P. Nunn and all that stuff. It's not the same out here as much. It's not as much of a state thing. It's more like a regional thing. Like you're out here on the East Coast, everybody's kind of eating Southern food. They're all out on the boat, you know, they're all in the marsh and fishing and eating, you know, crabs and oysters, and it's kind of a different scene. And the barbecue out here is pork. It ain't brisket. It ain't beef. There's not a lot of beef out here. So, you know, it's kind of the same, but a little different. And that was exciting to me because I haven't really explored the East Coast. I mean, you know, the beaches look different. The vegetation is different. The trees are different. The birds are different. It's familiar, but it's also kind of new. So that was something I was really looking forward to.
Yeah, someday I am going to come see one of your shows in Georgia whenever what'll it be, 2025 when we get this virus over?
Yeah, whenever that happens. God willing. What
was Whiskey Jam like?
Yeah, I was about to say, let's go back to Whiskey Jam. So Whiskey Jam, thank you, Ward, for having me on that. That is actually one of my proudest moments. I emailed him for about 5 years. Like, because my buddy Rich would play on there and stuff, and he knew him. But everybody in the world is emailing Ward to play on Whiskey Jam, because I don't know if y'all don't know about Whiskey Jam, but it's a weekly like almost like a variety show. It's a live show that they have where they have artists from all over the country, all over the world. You come and you play 3 songs. And so you'll see people back to back to back. You'll see some people from Nashville. It's in Nashville. You'll see some of the like biggest names in Nashville, like anybody, name the biggest country star in Nashville. They'll come on and play 3 songs. And then you'll have some band from like Alaska or like Mississippi or Texas, and they'll come on and play 3 songs. And so it's all a little country kind of, but I mean, people deviate. So, I mean, you're just seeing all sorts of influences and styles and sounds and, looks, and people dress different, talk different. So it is really cool. And it's a big honor, and people, you play for free. They have you, and people drive in from, across the country just to play those 3 songs. So I emailed him for 5 years, and finally he emailed me back, and he wanted me to come on. We had Hurricane Dorian out here on the East Coast, where, decimated the Bahamas, and I was supposed to go to Whiskey Jam that like 2 weeks after that. And I'd forgotten about it because we were in a hurricane and we thought we were going to lose our house, and, they evacuated the city. And so Ward emails me like the weekend before, and he's like, all right, cool. We'll see you Tuesday at Whiskey Jam. Right. And I was like, oh crap. I was like, I'm gonna have to cancel on this guy. I've been trying for 5 years to play this show. And I was like, I just emailed him. I just leveled with him. I was like, man, honestly, we just had a hurricane. Like, I just lost a bunch of money in business, and we're just kind of getting back to normal. I really don't think I can like drive to Nashville right now, play for free, stay in a hotel, all that stuff. So I was just like, man, if any way we could do this in like maybe a month, then I'll be back on my feet. And he was like, yeah, sure. No problem, man. Ward he is like down to earth, the coolest dude, seriously. I'm not just saying that. And he was like, yeah, no, come next month. So he booked me that October last fall, and I drove up there. I was like, yeah, Savannah to Nashville, it's like 6 hours. It's like driving, Corpus to Dallas. I got this, because in Texas we drive everywhere. Like, it's no big deal. No, it was like an 8 or 9 hour drive, like through the mountains. Like, it snowed on my way back. It was like a blizzard, and you don't ever see snow in Texas. So I was like white knuckling the steering wheel. I mean, it was crazy. It was beautiful. I mean, Tennessee is one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. We played and we killed it. I met a bunch of great musicians the night before. My buddy Chris Monty, he owned some bars there, and he was like, "Oh, you need a drummer, you need a guitar player, you need a okay, cool, I got you." And I met these guys, and the thing about Nashville is every bar, every band is the best player you've ever seen every night. The best drummer, the best guitar player in every single bar. So I mean, there is just a million awesome musicians, and my guitar player Wayne from Corpus flew out, and it was amazing, man. We killed it. It was slammed. It was, my first time playing Nashville. There was like 500 people here, and like we walked outside and it started snowing. Like as soon as we finished our set, and that's only the second time in my life that's ever happened. It was just snowing in Nashville. It was just an amazing week. It was probably one of the best weekends of my life. So
I forgot to give a shout out to Monty as well. He was also at that Firehouse Saloon show with Evan and Rich and all of us.
Yeah, Monty's a good guy. He plays all over, and he's got a couple bars in Nashville. And we all kind of forget about the Nashville tornadoes and everything because the coronavirus kind of swept that under the rug. But I mean, that whole everywhere where I was, that in October, it just got destroyed in February, and it's crazy. But God willing, they're kind of rebuilding and getting back to business.
Yeah, and that's I hate that. I'm hoping that without a flow of people on the streets during the day everywhere, hopefully maybe construction crews can actually work a little easier. I don't know. I don't really know the layout of all that, but that's just kind of my optimistic hope. Because we were going to play a benefit show for Australia with the wildfires. So the wildfires happen, then the tornado happens, then coronavirus happens, and it's like everything keeps overshadowing the other events. And I was like, by the time our show would have come around, nobody would have remembered Australia. It's kind of
just do a benefit for like the entire world, Yeah. It's like benefit for Earth.
What's the scene in Talladega Nights where he's like, man, we all got problems. I don't want to hear about your problems. Just do the Everyone's Got Problems show.
Everyone's got problems. So true.
I'm going to play another song here where I was originally going to, and I'd written down Ride, but I'm actually going to just hot potato the choice to you. Which song should we play next?
Let's see. Heartbreak and Jukebox, Weak in the Knees. Let's do a deep cut, man. How about do you have Go Down Slow off our first record?
Yeah, I'll put that on there.
Let's do it. If y'all never seen the video, I rented a 69 Camaro and I just drove it up and down the beach and the ocean and sang along to the song. And that was a pretty good day. I wish I could do that day over and over and over.
Well, that's another song, Over and Over.
Yeah.
It's funny. Originally, before I reached out, I was going to throw in Lonely City. I was like, No, I don't know if Steven wants to do a deep cut or not. So we're going to do a deep cut here. Go down slow.
Let's do it.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Just because he's here don't mean that it's true. 'Cause baby girl, I swear that I'll be here for you. If you need some time to run it through your mind, we could stay out late, find a way to unwind. 'Cause we could go down slowly tonight, let your hair down and go for a ride. Just tell me that you love me, only thinking of me. It's alright, it's such a beautiful life. Hey! Na 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 na. Na 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 na. I know a little place that's pretty hard to find. We could save the day and set aside some time. 'Cause if this thing is real, darling, don't be scared. I'll tell you how I feel. You better be prepared. We could go down slowly tonight, let your hair down and go for a ride. Just tell me that you love me, only thinking of me. It's alright, 'cause we could go down slowly tonight, chase our tail around in the night. Just tell me that you're lonely, only waiting for me. It's alright, it's such a beautiful life. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. 'Cause we could go down slowly tonight, let your hair down and go for a ride. Just tell me that you love me, only thinking of me. It's alright, 'cause we could go down slowly tonight, chase our tail around in the night. Just tell me that you're lonely, only waiting for me. It's alright, such a beautiful life. Na 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 na. 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 Na 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 na.
Love that song. So, of all your songs, which ones do you feel like have the best backstories? Because you're one of those writers who, it's one thing to know that you've lived East Texas, Georgia, all these places, connections to California. But if no one has met you and they hear these songs, they can just kind of tell you've been all over the place. Like somebody could probably put a little TV show or movie script to your song. So which ones would you say have the best backstories?
Well, thanks, man. First off, really, I think probably the song that is just like near and dear to my heart and pretty true is Wildflower Lane. That song did the best for us. I think it went to like number 18 on the charts, somewhere around there. And it for 6 months. It was on the radio, and it's, I mean, there's still people still tag me and say, "Oh, you're on the radio." I mean, if anybody's never heard it, it's just kind of a slow kind of 2-step song, which is a wild card for us because we're kind of, country rock, like big songs. And so it's just a simple little song. I wrote it in 5 minutes. I sat down, I woke up on a Sunday morning, made some coffee, sat down, picked up an acoustic guitar, and literally wrote that in 5 minutes.
Wow.
And recorded it on my phone and sent it to, I'm on a group chat with Rich O'Toole and Evan Gamble and Chris Monty and Matt Smith. And I sent it to them. I was like, "Hey, what do you think of this, guys?" And they were like, "That's awesome. You should put that on your next record." And I did. And that song just took off. There's a couple songs you'll write in your life where you write it and you show people and everybody's like, "That's a great song." So, it doesn't happen very often, but when you get that reaction, you got to put it out there. And I wrote that song about missing home and being away from home because that was during our first record when we had that top 40 song, and I was, traveling, trying to open up for anybody I could, just trying to get my name out there. And that's what that song sounds like. And when I hear it, I mean, it just takes me back to that time of just, gas station food and sleeping in motels and sleeping on, couches and tour buses and just anywhere I could, get my name out there. So
that's awesome. It's kind of funny, and you know this, but I'm going to tell anybody listening. When my wife and I moved to Temple 1 year ago this month, we were just outside of our neighborhood where you turn onto I-35 and you pass an exit that says Wildflower Lane to the right. And there's this big community out there called Wildflower Lane. And I was like, man, so first thing I did, I'd take a picture, send it to Steven.
Yeah, I remember. That's awesome.
So we'll get the rumor going. It's about Temple, Texas.
Yeah. It's really, I tweeted out a picture a couple of days ago because it came up on my Facebook memories, but really there was this house in Fredericksburg that my wife and I would rent every year for our anniversary, early April, when the bluebonnets are out. And it was just out in the field. It was secluded, and we'd hit the wineries and then come back to the house. And so I always wanted to shoot a video there when the bluebonnets were going, but it just didn't work out when I released the song, and then it was on the radio. And then by the time, there weren't any wildflowers out then, but that's kind of what I had in mind when I was writing that Take Me Back, Wildflower Lane.
I think I saw that. It was like a cabin looking house, kind of in a bunch of,
like a limestone cabin. Yeah, it was gorgeous.
That looked awesome. Well, the song's really cool. The video's really cool too. And I remember when you put it out as a single, it had already been out on an album. And, I had listened to your album a few times, but usually if I had you on rotation, it was kind of like the same 3 or 4 songs. So you put that one out, I think it was right after Hurricane Harvey, and you put the proceeds towards the hurricane relief. And I listened to it. I was like, wait, where's this one been on my playlist? This one's awesome.
Yeah, it was a sleeper. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was another hurricane I've been through. Hurricane Harvey. I lost power for 2 weeks, and I'd released that single right then, and it was just it's like now when I'm releasing a single in the middle of the coronavirus. I have the worst timing, but it is what it is. You got to keep going.
So as much as we love to hear new songs from you, just don't release any.
Yeah. I'll wait 2 years until the world's back together.
Election years only. So if you had to pick one song that means the most to you, would that be the one you think?
I think that one. I mean, it's every time I'm singing it live and everything, it just takes me back to that time and place when I was out on the road and just missing home. And I've kind of dialed that back. Once I've got 2 kids now, and when you have kids, every time you leave home, it's like you want to get back home as quick as you can. So I go out but I'll just do it for Friday or Saturday or something. I won't leave for a week. I just my heart can't take that anymore. So listening to Wildflower Lane, it takes me back to that time when I still was doing that, and everything was open. I hadn't achieved success or whatever I've achieved. I hadn't really gotten there yet, and so it just it'll always remind me of that period of my life.
Well, just a few more years, they can join your band, and then you just take them with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Jeff Tweedy. His son's his drummer. He's 18. So I'm like, dude, that's genius. You're growing band members.
Well, I think when Wade Bowen had his vocal issues going on and he couldn't sing for a while, I think his son filled in for him.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So you've done a few music videos as well. Usually there's a highlight music video, or an artist has one big video that was kind of like the video, and I'll ask them about that. But you've had several. If you go to your YouTube channel, I mean, there's quite a few different ones. You had Lucky Stars, Weak in the Knees, Texas Girls. Weak in the Knees was the first one I saw, and I actually thought you were in West Texas because of all the windmills. And then, then I was like, wait, Corpus has plenty of that too. I mean, you kind of pulled off the perfect could be anywhere video.
Yeah. South Texas is funny. You've got the beach, and then you've got the fields, the cotton fields, and the windmills, and so it's all over.
What's been your favorite music video to do?
They're all so different. I mean, I've done the big budget, throw a couple grand at it and have the models. I did that with Texas Girls. That was really kind of my, Van Halen, California Girls, like trying to do sex sells. That was, and I did that once, and I felt kind of dirty. And I was like, I don't really want to do that again. I've done, the videos I've done myself. Like I did Little Texas Town. I just found all these old home movies and just put them on a projector and played in front of it. I did that for free on my own. So everyone's a little different. I really did love the Go Down Slow video because I got to drive a beautiful car, 69 Camaro, and that was awesome. Trying to think.
We got in a joking Twitter battle, a few of us, about a month or two ago, and Rich O'Toole was on there, and I forgot, one of us made fun of him for something. And he popped back with, I've seen hostage videos with a bigger budget than your music videos. And I'm sitting over here like I had people just jump in for free. I kind of like Homer Simpson into the bushes, but it was one of the funniest things I'd ever read on Twitter. But I remember I filmed the Port Aransas music video probably about a year after y'all did the Texas Girls one. And the way I did it was I just took a bunch of waiver forms and got people who were willing to be in it for free to just sign that they were over 18 and that I could use the video. And local business owners signed on because they were like, well, duh, free advertising. So that was great. But then Wayne came up to me. He's like, hey, we still got some contacts from Texas Girls if you want them.
Yeah, you got to have the pretty girls. Everybody's got to have one of those videos where you got the pretty girls and everything. I've done the big budget stuff. When you're starting out, like you want your records to sound like if they were on the radio with, Luke Bryan or Blake Shelton, like you're the same quality and you sound as good. And you want your music videos to be that same quality so they can go on CMT like back to back with the big boys. But you do that a couple times and you're just like, like now I'm more interested in just kind of whatever, serves the song and just kind of goes with whatever's being expressed. I don't care if it's big budget or low budget or, if it's animation or, just a drawing or just me in front of a projector or what. I just kind of wanted to go along with whatever's the story's being told, Well,
I probably couldn't say this out in Georgia, but I can say it here in Texas that I think you're already a step ahead of Luke Bryan and Blake Shelton for most listeners. At least thanks, the people listening to this podcast would probably say so.
I appreciate that. I think their bank account's probably a step ahead of mine, but maybe
just a
artistically.
Of all your music videos, which song should we play from one?
Of all our music videos, what song? Let's do Lucky Stars, man. That was kind of my ode, my farewell to Corpus. It's not goodbye. It's just, I'll see you next time. I knew I was coming out to the East Coast. And so we put together this video, filmed it during a packed show at Executive Surf Club, which was our home stadium at the time. And all our friends were there. And, my family was in the front row and I'm walking around with my wife on the seawall, looking at the ocean and stuff. So that video means a lot to me. And it's also a great song. At the time, I thought it was the best song I'd ever written. It ended up going top 40, and that song was very good to us.
That song was on the charts forever, it seems like.
Yeah, it's like, we'll eventually get there, but I think what's more important is that we're on the charts for like 6 months. That's the maximum. Yeah. And after that, they take you off because they're just like, all right, let somebody else have a chance. So, it's cool to go high, but I think it's cooler to go long. It's like, shit, they're playing you on the radio for 6 months, just one song. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to play that here. This is Lucky Stars.
She pays me up when I'm falling down. And I think my lucky star, she's around. Oh, oh. When she first saw me, yeah, she knew that I was up to no good. I was a little bit of country and a little bit of Hollywood. But she chance on me, and I don't know
So what are some of your upcoming plans and projects? I mean, once we get out of this whole lockdown, it's getting so old saying that on every episode. So once this lifts,
Yeah.
what can we
No
expect
joke.
from you?
Well, I mean, I've got a whole record. I just need to get around to recording it. I can do it at my house. So I've already been fine tuning the songs, and I would love to get that out there. I think, like most people, I've just been kind of down, and I've been enjoying my kids and my family stuff. But overall, I think we're all just kind of not really, motivated to, I'm going to make a record for what? I don't have any shows. I don't, I had a bunch of stuff coming up. Like we said, I moved out to the East Coast about 6 months ago, and finally in March, I had a stacked schedule. In March, I was going to be playing like 20 shows that month, and it was going to be nuts. And now, everything's canceled. I had some big stuff coming up in May, and it's all canceled. So it's just like, oh man, okay, well, I try to be grateful, and I'm happy I got my kids and my family, and I swim in my pool, but I got a whole record ready to go. I got some songs I'm really proud of. I don't know if I should just do one song at a time like I did with Heartbreak and the Jukebox, or if I should just kind of put it all in one record and just drop it, or I'm kind of trying to figure that out. But I think here in the next week or two, I'm going to just start banging out the songs and just kind of getting them together, and probably you'll see some new music here in the next month or so. But like everybody else, just kind of waiting to see what happens. Is this going to be lifting in May? Is this going to be lifting in September? What's going on?
2030. No, you could be a total tease, everybody. You put like half the song on a YouTube video, and then it fades out and be like, coming soon.
Yeah,
like, dang it.
Get me a vaccine and I'll release this whole song.
Yeah.
Hold it hostage.
Your move, whoever the next president is.
Yeah.
And like I told someone the other day, whether it's Trump or Biden, I don't envy either of them when they step in that day one. Just be like, all right, here's your homework. Good luck.
Yeah, they're inheriting a mess, and hopefully we all get out of this. I think it's kind of, in a way, even though we're social distancing, I think it's kind of brought us all together a little more. We're grateful for our house, and we're grateful to have food in the fridge, and grateful that we're not dying. For those of us who are staying healthy. So hopefully, and I've I had a lot of shows canceled and stuff. So I'm texting club owners, and we're trying to figure out when we can reschedule, and we're encouraging each other. Like, hopefully people are going to appreciate actually going out to a concert now, because you couldn't do it for like 3 or 4 months. So, all those times when there's a cool show in your town and you're like, I'll just stay home and watch Netflix. Now, like, we're all pretty sick of Netflix and staying home. So it's like, hopefully, everybody's going to want to get out and go see that show. Like, do it.
I mean, I am grateful that Tiger King happened in the midst of all this, or I probably never would have caught it. Yeah, and it's interesting because, people always tend to be pretty divided during an election year on the internet and things of that nature. But one thing we haven't had in past election years is something this bad also bringing people a little closer together in a sense. I mean, people are arguing over it, but it's different, It's kind of like we all have one thing that we're hoping happens soon, and that's just to get out of this mess. Yeah,
that's what I was reading about that. It's like there have been very few things in the world where everybody in the world had the exact same thing happen to them. So it's like this whole era, this whole generation is going to be defined by like having gone through this. So it can't help but, change things to some degree, and hopefully for the better.
Yeah, I hope so. So now that you've kind of got several states under your belt, what are some of your favorite venues and towns? Because I ask a lot of, Texas specific artists this, and I've had a couple of people who have played Nashville and Texas, but it's kind of interesting that you've got more of a broad range of places you've played now. So what are some of your favorite venues?
Yeah, definitely. So in Texas, in South Texas, I love Executive Surf Club and Brewster Street out there in Corpus. New Braunfels, we were talking about Phoenix Saloon. San Antonio, you got Sam's Burger Joint's a great place. Austin, we used to play the Rattle Inn. That was like our home stadium in Austin. They just like closed one day. I was supposed to play a show, and they're like, nope, we're closing for good. I was like, wait, like for the weekend, or like no, we're done. I was like, oh, wow. So I used to play Antone's a lot in Austin. That's kind of an old home stadium for me. And then, of course, you get up into North Texas, you got all sorts, Lola's Garage, or, you got the Stockyards. I love Fort Worth and the Stockyards. I think that's kind of, if I was a kid, and didn't have any family or anything and just could do whatever, I'd probably be living in Fort Worth, because I love the scene out there, and you can dip down to Austin, or you can go up to Oklahoma, and that's a great place to be. Nashville is amazing. I mean, there's everywhere on Nashville, on Broadway, or of course, I got to give a shout out to my buddy Chris Money's clubs, Belcourt Taps and Belcourt Alley Taps. And then out here in Savannah, there's all these little small towns. So you got Savannah, you got Thunderbolt, you got Sandfly, I do a tour and it's like 20-mile radius. I'm playing all these little towns. So I love downtown Savannah's amazing. There's a bunch of really cool bars I play, like B&D Burgers, DeSoto Hotel. I play out in Thunderbolt, Georgia, which is a really cool little town on the river. At Tubby's, I play out on Tybee Island, it's kind of like Padre Island out here. But
my next question was going to be, how do you pronounce that? Because I've seen it on your posts like Tybee. I don't know.
Yeah, Tybee. No, it's nuts. It's like Padre. I played out there for St. Patty's Day, and it was just slammed. I think that was like my last show because everything got canceled after that. But Tybee's amazing. It's about 10 minutes from my house, but it's a whole other city on the beach. And that's the thing on the East Coast. In Texas, you drive 5 hours and you haven't gotten to the next city. But out here on the East Coast, it's like town, boom, boom, boom. You can just go up the coast and start in Florida and go all the way up to, New York or whatever.
And you've been hanging out with Paula Deen quite a bit, I see.
Yeah, I've been playing her place out on Whitmarsh Island. She's been out there a couple times.
Oh, nice.
Killer food. Yeah, I mean, she's a great cook. That's how she got there. But yeah, they love me. I mean, they were having me. I played, and they're like, "Well, can you come back?" And then I played again, and they're like, "Well, can you come back like 4 more times?" So I mean, they were digging it. And then of course, all this crap happened, so it got shut down for a while. But looking forward to getting back out there. And yeah, the East Coast has been very good to me. I think I'm kind of a novelty because I'm the guy from Texas.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other musicians out here that are from Texas or playing Texas music or. So I just wear boots, and people are like, "Oh, cowboy boots! Wow, yeah, look at this guy!"
That's awesome. So where can people follow your music? Because for the longest time it was just Stephen James TX, here and there, and you've kind of expanded a little bit. So what kind of what handles should people look for on social media?
Yeah, so I'm kind of more national now. So I changed everything to Stephen James Rocks, which is actually my original thing. So Stephen James Rock made sense. So check me out, Instagram, Facebook, Stephen James Rocks. And then on Twitter, some dude's been sitting on that account for like 6 years and it's been suspended. So I'm Stephen James Live on Twitter. But Stephen James TX. I'm all over, man. Just search Stephen James and the Jaded, Stephen James, anything like that. And if you get another Stephen James, play their music too. It's all good. I want to support any Stephen James out there. There's about 30 of them on Spotify.
Wow, it's quite a bit. I knew there were a few. I didn't know there were that many.
yeah. The one my new single got tagged on his account for about 2 weeks. He does like all this crazy spoken word stuff, and
oh wow,
people were like emailing me like, "I didn't know you did like a spoken word album." And I was like, it's not me, but more power to him.
So for the big 3 finale questions, if you could collaborate with anyone out there, who would it be?
I could collaborate with anybody out there. I mean, damn, 2 of my idols, of course, are Jeff Tweedy from Wilco or Ryan Adams. I know Ryan Adams kind of had, he's kind of not socially acceptable to talk about for a while, but I still think he's a hell of a musician. I grew up listening to that music, so I'd love to collaborate with either of those guys for sure.
The second, if you could headline any venue, where would you go?
Man, that's a great question. It would have to be like Whiskey A Go Go or like Roxy or something, man. I love the Strip out in LA. When Rich O'Toole and Evan Gamble were out there in LA, I'd fly out there and we'd just play a show and go tear it up at the Roxy or the Rainbow, go up, the Hollywood Vampires room. So I love LA. I love California. The weather's amazing. So I would love to do like the Whiskey or something.
I'll have to go play the Troubadour at some point.
Yeah, Troubadour. Hell yeah. There's, like Led Zeppelin would play there, Van Morrison back when nobody knew who they were. It's just the Doors. The history out there is insane.
It really is. I finally got to go out there, I think summer before last. My brother-in-law lives out there. He's a script writer. And we went to Cantor's Deli down on, I want to say Sunset. And anyone that doesn't know what Cantor's is, a lot of the old 80s rock bands used to go eat there. And so Mark Cantor has a book called Reckless Road. And it's basically he photographed and documented everything from Guns N' Roses' formation through their first album. And Mark was actually there. And he recommended that anyone that goes to the Strip needs to go eat the pizza at the Rainbow. And I did not get a chance to do that. So got to go back there and eat the pizza at the Rainbow at some point.
Yeah, man. They just dropped a documentary about the Rainbow on Amazon Prime. I just watched it like 2 nights ago.
Oh, nice.
It's insane. through the 70s. All the 70s bands were there. A lot of them like signed record deals there and partied there, like John Lennon, Harry Nilsson, like everybody, Keith Moon. And then it carried on into the 80s. So all the like 80s bands like Motley Crue and Rat and Poison, and they all partied there. And it just through the decades, like it was always the spot. There's so much history there. It's insane.
Motley tore that place up.
Oh yeah, it's nuts. Slash, Guns N' Roses partied there. Slash has his own booth, like in the back corner.
Yeah,
crazy.
Well, it's funny. I think he actually got thrown out in their early days. He and Steven Adler, and I saw an interview where he said, Steven would hit on anything that had legs and could breathe, and so Slash dressed up as a woman to get back into the club, and they let him in. And then he tried to get Steven to pick him up, but Steven had already left, and so he's like walking around getting hit on by everybody else in LA.
It's crazy, man. You can still go there. I mean, I would just party there with Rich and Evan Gamble and all them, and still the same place. It's awesome.
Here's what you need to do. You need to get a coast-to-coast tour, even if it's just 3 days. Just Savannah, Corpus, LA. Just get how many beaches can you hit?
I would love to. Yeah, I did that with my first record. We did a LA show out there. My buddy Matt Smith played guitar with me, and Evan Gamble played with me. And we played, I think it's Room 5 in West Hollywood. I don't know if it's still there, but Rich had played there like a week before or something and had some dispute with them. And, that's his story to tell, but like I think he was banned for like a month or something. And he got into our show, and but the door person didn't recognize some chick or something just working the door. Some young person didn't know, so he got in, and so we're like thanking everybody in the crowd. There's like maybe 30 or 40 people there, so we could see everybody there, and we're like thanking everybody, and then we get to Rich, and it's like we just like keep going. He was like, "Come on, man! He's like, you think the janitor, but you don't think me. Like, come on!" Like, man, you're persona non grata at the time. Like, I gotta get asked back.
Well, if you can raise trouble in Hollywood, you're accomplishing something.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've torn it up.
So speaking of crazy stories and all that, the grand finale question is: what is the funniest or craziest story you can tell from your music career so far? And I like to reiterate, not necessarily the craziest story, but the one you can get away with telling.
I mean, we've done all the crazy rock star stuff, trashing hotel rooms, or, you leave like a sandwich or something, somebody's gig bag, so they don't find out about it for a week, and they open up their, play gig, and then there's got mold and stuff in there, or, you write on somebody's face when they pass out on the tour bus, or, try to super glue their stuff shut. And so, yeah, been there, done that. Trying to think if we, ran from the cops, or there's definitely times when, we're partying out back doing, substances and stuff we shouldn't be, and we're trying to dodge security. And
well, one thing I always love about partying with you in Corpus is that we usually had an attorney and a cop hanging out with us, so we were golden.
Yeah, the last couple of years I've had my one of my best friends, Jeff Kane. He's also my attorney, so he's good to have on the road with you. Anything happens, I'm like, hey, this is my attorney right here drinking with me, so you can talk to him. It was one early days. I was on tour with my buddy Evan Gamble with our old band from Austin. And we got a gig at Executive Surf Club, actually, it was my first time there. It was down in Corpus Christi. And so we get down there, and I hadn't been to Corpus in like 20 years, and I don't know what to think. We get there, everybody's, in sandals and Hawaiian shirts, and we're all these like rock and rollers from Austin. We've got like black hair, like emo tight girl jeans and torn up, Guns N' Roses. We probably look like Motley Crue or something walking in that place. And everybody's like, who the hell are these guys? And so we get up there and play, and people dig it. I mean, we're a good band. Same sort of stuff we do now, but just a little more rocking. And we wrap it up. I think we got like $200 or $300 for the gig. We're like 22 at the time. So to us, that's like, oh, hell yeah. We got a free hotel room and like $300. So we're like, man, we're rock stars. So it turns out the hotel was like in Skid Row. It was like on the other side of Corpus. And there's like a strip club like right next to it. I think it's like a double wide trailer or something. I mean, if you can call it a building, I think, they duct tape it together or something. So we got like $300 in our pocket, and we've got a hotel room and a night in Corpus, and we're already several drinks deep. So we're like, let's go to the strip club and just go party. And so we get there, and we're just partying, and I'm not gonna say who, because I don't want to. People have got like spouses and girlfriends now and stuff. So
and attorneys.
One of our guys goes missing, and we're all throwing money on stage and partying, buying drinks. And of course, at strip clubs, drinks are like $15 a beer or whatever. So it's time to settle up. And we're like, all right, where's our money? Where's the $300? We partied as a band. We're going to pay as a band. So one of our guys had gone missing. Turns out he took all the money and got lap dance after lap, just like in a row, like 30 lap dances or something. Just blew all the gig money right there on like one chick who wasn't even that hot. He was just hammered and was like, oh, let's keep going. Yeah, one more time. We were just like, dude, what the hell? So I think we put on like somebody's like dad's credit card or something, just so we could get out of there without getting like our kneecaps broken or something,
What a surprise when they're updating their credit card bill.
Yeah, they're like, what? Yeah, what's wet and wild and steamy in Corpus Christi, Texas? I never heard of that place.
And then they ask you about it. I've not heard of it either.
Yeah, I would flag that one. Yeah, it sounds like stolen credit card.
Well, Stephen, thanks for coming and being a part of this, and for lending your voice to the countless soundbite plays that we've gotten on previous guest episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, man. No, I love what you're doing. I love the podcast. It's awesome. You got this going. So keep going, man. We dig it.
Yeah, we'll have to, whenever everything is over and they've lifted the virus and all that kind of stuff, we'll have to do another show together, and I'll have to get you back on the podcast at some point.
Yeah, man, definitely. I was supposed to be in Texas this weekend. I was going to play Executive Surf Club, and it was going to be my big triumphant return, but, that's all canceled now. So
I had plans to be there, too.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, come out to the East Coast, man. I'll show you around.
Sounds great. We'll head up to Emerald Isle. I'll show you some of my old childhood places from North Carolina. Whole weekend of it. But yeah,
we'll go bug BJ Barham from American Aquarium. We'll just go say, we're in town, man. Let's party.
Just call him up. Awesome. Well, thanks again, man. Tell the family hi for me, and y'all take care and stay safe.
I will, brother. You too.
All right. And to close this thing out, we're going to do a song that's pretty accurate for where Stephen has been and where he's at now. This is a song called Piney Woods.
And she took me in, showed me how it went. Said I gotta go, but I'll come back soon. I need your love to live. Going down, going down, going down to the piney woods, where the trees are tall and the nights are long, and the women all treat you good. Going down, going down, going down to the piney woods. Time underneath their pines, get together like we said we would. Yeah. And the years flew by, but she was on my mind. Knew I was gonna get back there soon as I found the time. Took me back in, showed me how it went. Said, girl, I love you so, and I need your love to live. Going down, going down, going down to the piney woods, where the trees are tall and the nights are long, and the women all treat you good. Going down, going down, going down to the piney woods. Have a hell of a time underneath their pines, get together like we said we would. Will I see you soon? You know what to do when I come around. Do you miss me too? Do I make you swoon when I lay you down? Will I love to hear that lovely sound? Come on. Going down, going down, going down to the piney woods, where the trees are tall and the nights are long, and the women all treat you good. Going down, going down, going down them piney woods. Have a hell of a time underneath them pines. Get together like we said we would. Going down, going down, going down to them piney woods, where the trees are tall and the nights are long and the women all treat you good. Going down, going down, oh, going down to them piney woods. Have a hell of a time underneath them pines. Get together like we said we would. Oh, have a hell of a time underneath them pines. Get together like we said we would.